Hey Diamond, how are you today?
Well, Nikki B, I'm great. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. I was gonna just come on and play this James O'Keefe removed as CEO of Project Veritas, his speech.
Oh no.
I just
Okay.
yeah, I just watched it. It was pretty emotional, so I thought I'd play it for everybody and they can come back and watch it another time if people don't file in. And so here we go, Diamond.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all for being here on a President's Day, but I think it's fitting that, we're here on President's Day. I wrote these so I could get the words right, but it's obviously from the heart. And I wanted to do this in person with you all, not over a Zoom or Teams. And, he's going to film it. And these are intended just for the family here at Project Veritas. This is just for us. I recognize that when you send something out to 60 people, but I'm not going to do that today. So I just wanted to tell you the truth. So I'm going to read this and I'm going to try my best to, speak from the heart, but I did write these words and I want to tell you what's going on. So here we go. It's going to take me about 15 minutes to do this. Journalism is reporting things powerful people want kept hidden for the wrong reasons, moral wrongs, bad behaviors, as journalists we're the custodians of the public's conscience. And as we've gone deeper and deeper exposing and illuminating corruption, the lies hidden from public view, the line that separates good and evil becomes more clear. Not just in the institutions we investigate, but within one another. Throughout my 13 years doing this, our mission has evolved from simply being about exposing the truth with some hidden cameras to something more transcendental, giving people hope, right? That's what we do. I'm going to stand here because I just feel like I'm filming a video for the audience. And as we ascended into that higher purpose, which I think we all understand that we have suffered through triumph and disaster along the way in a similar fashion to what I wrote about in my book. The first chapter was called Suffering. So the line that separates good and evil passes not through the states, nor classes, nor political parties, but right through every single human heart, to quote Solzhenitsyn. So that line in the sand becomes more clear the deeper we go in investigating these powerful institutions. So over the last few weeks, I have felt a lot of despair and seen a lot of evil and felt overcome with various emotions over the last few weeks. You could say I've seen glimpses of heaven and hell, of darkness and light. But what I take away from these is the gratitude that I have for many of you, for most of you. And there is such goodness in so many of you that I have seen, and I am grateful for that. And the generosity and goodwill we have steadily built over the past 13 years with so many people. I've received thousands of text messages and phone calls from people all over the world concerned about my well-being. But as I was going through this process, I reflected upon my appreciation for many of you. What makes us great is that we do this work because we actually believe in it, right? We actually believe in this. It shocks people that we do, and we have a passion for it, and we have principle. Like I know, we don't sell out. I think that's fair, at least most of us. We have a passion for doing the right thing in a visual way, no matter what. That's what binds us. I know many of you have experienced this despair alongside of me in the last couple weeks. One of you just told me the other day that you'd go work at Walmart at the night shift so that you could do this during the day. That's what one of you said to me. I believe you. Rather than sell out. In fact, I know this is true for many of you and many more out there who wish to be part of this. It's true. I remember back in the beginning, 13 years ago, when I had no money, I would have to use bubble gum, duct tape. I think you were around during that time. I keep looking at you because I've known you since Andrew Breitbart. And my grandmother's chinchilla, I literally had to place a Project Veritas sticker on a piece of cardboard that I ripped off from my dad's cardboard and stick it to a microphone at Radio Shack because I had no money to buy a flag mic. And this was after experiencing a meteoric high of the Acorn story. I was up and I was down, and I was broke again, and I was arrested, and then crashed down to a meteoric low, back in the carriage house, resorting once again to bubblegum and duct tape to achieve the NPR investigation that took us yet again to a meteoric high. I was so broke that I had to scribble my name and phone numbers on pieces of paper because I had no business cards. And so the saga continues. Back then, there were no employees and no budget. But I felt the same sensation this week. I feel the sensation right now. As Steve Jobs once wrote about being fired from Apple, the company he founded, quote, "The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again." Less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. So back then I trudged on from the back of a stretch limo in DC, two guys, I was on federal probation, so I couldn't be there, but two of my volunteers dressed like Muslim Brotherhood fundamentalists armed with hidden cameras. Project Veritas was born again in 2011 for a second time. A couple of donors eventually became 100,000 donors present day, 13 years later. After almost a decade and a half of 85-hour work weeks, sometimes traveling 300 days a year, I'm on the road, packing multiple meetings in a day, and plenty of blood, sweat, and tears, the likes of which I could never have possibly fathomed. The external threats and pressure inflicted against myself and some of us has been unimaginable. I'm going to summarize them. Handcuffed by the FBI on 2 separate occasions, 12 years apart, having my phones confiscated and private information leaked to the New York Times, being placed on effective house arrest for 3 years between May of 2010 and May of 2013, being sued dozens of times, being served 2 separate criminal grand jury subpoenas in New Hampshire in the last 10 years, getting pursued in a high-speed chase by a New Jersey education union official on Interstate 80 in Passaic, deposed many times, suffered through mediation with insurance companies where they had all of our emails. They had everything, but they evidently didn't have anything on me. Getting my home raided by the FBI, having my loved ones put in handcuffs in the hallway, and having our office destroyed by a hurricane, literally a hurricane, which forced us into a temporary workplace before rebuilding and stirred up disgruntled employees, including grievances about me, which I will get to in a minute. The list goes on. Even so, as a former board member told me 10 years ago, Project Veritas will never be stopped from the outside. It will only be because we stopped ourselves, right? I'll get to that too in a minute. Prophetic as it may be, that is exactly where we find ourselves in the situation today. A situation where I've been stripped of my authority as CEO and removed from the board of directors. I bet you didn't know that. I'll get to that in a minute. Contrary to what public statements may say. And by the way, I have copies for this. I will not give them to you yet. I will give them to you after I'm done. And there are board minute meetings, which you'll all get a copy of, that read as follows. Quote, James O'Keefe indefinitely suspended as CEO without compensation, February 10th. Yes. Quote, indefinite suspension of James O'Keefe from the board, dated February 10th, 5 days before the statement, saying that I'm still the CEO. I don't know why this is happening now, or specifically why this is happening suddenly right now. As you know, at the helm of Veritas, I've never allowed or entertained speculation. I only report the facts. I think you know this. You're involved in hiring. But don't you know that so many people want to go beyond the facts? I'm adamant that I'm only going to stick to the facts. So much so that sometimes we don't hire people if they want to pontificate and opine about what's going on in society. And I've had people leave because they don't agree with this vision, okay, of what a journalist ought to do. But fortunately, I have recordings and documents to back up everything I'm about to tell you. So everything I'm about to tell you, I have documentation and proof. So you don't have to say I wasn't there. You can listen to it and watch it for yourself. So I'm about a quarter of the way through here. Bear with me. For the last 13 years, I've been the same person I've always been, probably better than I used to be. These are adjectives some people used: tough, hard charging, driven, creative, exacting. I have extremely high standards and somewhat disorganized. I don't ask you how your Thanksgiving was, okay? Or the names of your siblings, although a good leader probably should. I don't do that. I ask a lot of you, but I don't ever ask you to do anything I haven't myself done and continue to do. I haven't always been the most compassionate leader, and that is admittedly a fault of mine, something I need to work on. But I remember when I was back in the carriage house in the beginning, there was a journalist in the beginning, and he pointed this out to me. So, you need to be more compassionate. Ask me about my life. And it hurt him that I wasn't more compassionate towards him. Personally, I told him it was difficult for me to change myself. But this experience stayed with me, and I always have known this about myself. I've tried to do a better job of that, but the truth is I've been very hurried, very busy, pressed for time every day, trying to pack in so much in a day. I think you all know this in meetings. I'm busy because I'm trying to get so much done in an hour, all the while moving at the speed of light to raise as much money, to hire more people, to take care of you guys in a fundamental way, although I may not be good at communicating the reasons why I am that way. I'm doing as much as I humanly possibly can so I could build this place out and do more. And that's what we did every year, each year since 2010. Growing every year, sometimes doubling our revenue, doubling our impact. I have a chart here, which again, I'm going to hand to you, the chart of the growth every year. I have never slowed down. I recognize that perhaps I should, but number one, there's a trade-off to slowing down. And number two, I need the right leaders around me in order to do that. So along the way, there has been much turnover, replacing people with better people. This was painful to me and to many of you who witnessed it. But that has always been happening since day one. There was turnover 10 years ago when I had to fire a friend from college. Let's just maybe hold off on that until the end. So I'll make sure that everyone has a copy of this. And I don't intend to publish this. This is for you guys internally. I had 10 years ago, I had to fire a friend from Rutgers. That hurt me. It took me months to get over this. I never discussed this. I felt for him, but it was the conflict that ate at me, but I had to do it. See, leadership has a price, and results often come at a human cost. Maybe fewer in this world, present day, are willing to pay that price. Many people want the fruits of leadership, such as its power, results, Twitter followings, secondary effects. But the price of the responsibilities, burdens, trials, hardships, difficult decisions, or just sheer suffering, I don't think people want that. And all through the years, things fundamentally continued on an upward trajectory for this place, albeit turnover. And I'm a hard guy to work for sometimes. We file our annual tax return. A public tax return is required by the IRS. And my compensation is set by an independent board of directors via a compensation committee. 4 times a year, our chief financial officer has submitted company financials to the board. That's every quarter. And our board approves it in quarterly meetings. All 3 members of the C3 were present, and we have subjected both the C3 and the C4 to audits from outside independent accounting agencies each and every year. That happens. That has always been happening. Nothing about how I've conducted myself over the past 13 years has really fundamentally changed until now. So what has changed in the last 3 weeks? What has changed? The only thing that has changed is that we broke the biggest story in our organization's history. You know that one I'm talking about? Pfizer. The last week of January, with 50 million views. That broke the record by 10x. Our video became a global phenomenon. It was about Pfizer and one of the directors discussing mutating the virus. Our confrontation video, where he locked me in a pizza restaurant with you, and he smashed the equipment and called the police. that became a phenomenon and was riveting television for our audiences glued to their screens. That was probably one of my favorite things that ever happened. It was just really unbelievable. It was like true to be false and seemingly too false to be true, but it was real. If someone else is here, you can let them in. Hello, come on in. Just giving a few remarks to the team here, so you came at the right moment. So the only thing that changed were these videos. Outlets in India and China cover the story, and our social media exploded like never before. Our employees and board members' Twitter accounts also exploded like never before. Pfizer even put out a non-denial denial, like you always capture these things, where they basically admitted they were mutating the virus, albeit they buried this admission in jargon. But it was still an admission. And it was extraordinary that Pfizer responded to us with an admission, not denying that this guy was who he was. What an amazing turn of events. That is the only thing that's changed in 13 years of me being who I am. And then suddenly, an unusual emergency happened just a few days after that. I think we have one more person here, if we could let him in. So suddenly, an unusual, and I'm going to take you through this. I'm going to take you through what happened. Some of you don't know these things. Hello. We're talking about the story we broke. An unusual emergency happened. On Thursday, February 2nd, that's a few days after the Pfizer story, I was informed by an officer of Project Veritas on the phone while en route to the airport that he would resign unless I stepped down as CEO. We've been having a conflict of visions, him and I, over fundraising. Are we in fundraising here? I guess no one from fundraising is here. I don't know. There were tactical disagreements about the boldness of approaches soliciting donations. I was told, and I'm paraphrasing, by asking for X dollars right now, you will prevent 10X dollars down the road. That advice ran contrary to everything I knew to be true in my 13 years of fundraising. But that conflict was even more fundamental and essentially boiled down to this. And my vision, I'm going to paraphrase Howard Rourke, the architect, quote, I don't build in order to have donors. I have donors in order to build. That's what I believed, and I felt like we had a conflict of visions. We don't measure our success only in terms of how much money we bring in. We measure our success in terms of our impact. Remember Acorn? I don't think I raised a single dollar off that. I had a stack of media coverage to the ceiling. We measure our success in terms of what we produce, not just in terms of our wallets. That was a pretty fundamental conflict, I felt. The day prior, I had informed him in front of his colleagues that if he wasn't willing to follow my lead, he'd be shown the door. I tried to deal with it privately, but I was unsuccessful, and the disagreement boiled over publicly in a staff meeting. The next day, this individual refused to resign, so I fired him. Later that same day, that's Thursday, February 2nd, a few days after the 50 million viewed Pfizer videos, I was informed by a different officer of Project Veritas that he would go to the board in a few hours from that moment and have an emergency vote to restructure this company. Receiving an agenda in my email while I was sitting on an airplane tarmac with the doors closing, the meeting was scheduled for the moment that my plane landed in Nashville. It became clear to me in that moment I would be removed from my position at Project Veritas by the time I landed at my destination. I bet you didn't know that. I have a copy of the emergency meeting here for you guys to take a look at. It's in writing. You could read it. You don't have to be there. You can read the minutes. They're official board minutes. They're written by a lawyer. My first question on the phone to this guy, my colleague, as I was staring at this agenda when the stewardess was asking me to get off the phone, was, quote, what are we going to tell our supporters if I'm removed from my position? I think that's the first question. I had 100 questions, but that was the first one. My colleague, who is an officer of Project Veritas, responded by saying, our supporters wouldn't have to find out. Sounds like something you would get in the Claire McCaskill campaign. It sounds like something you'd expose. I was so shocked by this. And again, the stewardess was asking me to get off the phone. I guess you could say that I was in a state of complete shock. How would our supporters not be informed of such an enormous thing? It was a lapse in judgment so severe that it was itself a fireable offense to make a statement like that. It was a lapse in judgment so severe, it was impossible to hide my removal from my position at Veritas to anybody. As the CEO and chief fundraiser, I have to explain the context of my role to thousands of people, 300 days a year on the road, while soliciting them for funds so that I can pay you. And I knew many of our supporters and donors would not like that change. If I was removed from the chief decision maker at the organization I founded, I share who we are, our vision, our structure, our strategy with everybody. In fact, hiding something so fundamental from people is something that we stand against in principle, particularly with the amount of scrutiny that we're under. The doors closed, the plane took off, but somehow, over the next few hours, I was able to convince the board to push this emergency meeting to that Monday, February the 6th. The very next day, and this is where things gets really bizarre. So fasten your seatbelts. The very next day, on Friday, this is now Friday, February 3rd, a board member reached out to one of our journalists and stated, quote, "You get a raise if there is a restructure without James O'Keefe at Project Veritas." I have a copy of the text message, and I'll give it to all of you. I redacted the name of the journalist. The board member deleted the message, but not before our journalist took screenshots. Good job, journalist. On Sunday, February 5th, now that's Sunday, 2 days after the Friday, a board member requested my presence at his home. He informed me, quote, "You had nothing to do, James, with this Pfizer story," unquote. Perplexed by this, I took out my iPad and showed him a video of myself confronting the Pfizer executive, which had 11 million views on YouTube. He responded, quote, "But that was after the undercover video had already been done," unquote. I pointed out that the brave journalist, and many of you know who this person is, I'm not going to name anyone, who recorded the interaction was someone that I had to sit down over a year prior, remember, over dinner, for hours, talking off the proverbial ledge, insisting he take the long, arduous road to get the story about Pfizer. And indeed he did. The board member responding to me saying that said he did not know that and admitted that another board member was persuading him to the contrary. In the meeting, we're fast forwarding to Monday, 2 weeks ago. On the 6th, I offered an apology letter to the board for my tone of voice in the office at the leadership meeting the week before, that I intended to also share that apology for my tone of voice with our staff. But the board refused to accept my apology, nor believe that it was sincere. They also did not support my sending it to the staff. I imagine many of you didn't even know that I drafted an apology. Then I was subject to a 6.5-hour listing of grievances, which included taking black cars to meetings. I don't know the significance of the color of the vehicle. And taking a few charter jets over the years to pack multiple PV meetings in a day. One of those jets, I think we had a meeting in New York, Wisconsin, and California in the same day, and it raised $2 million. But the revenue part was omitted. There was also some truly bizarre grievances, including my failure to record audio in one encounter at a bar in upstate New York, and an allegation that I stole a pregnant woman's sandwich in federal court. There were also discussions from a few staffers with donors in the boardroom. Donors were listening to some of this, and some of these were sent directly to donors without my consent. Donors who have no knowledge of my personal life and have no business asking questions about my personal life, about girls I've dated in the past. A fundraising colleague relayed, and again, this is going to start getting really strange, but this board meeting was video recorded. We'll get to that in a minute. A fundraising staffer relayed, quote, concerns about my behaviors regarding videos where I, quote, literally chased a Twitter executive around New York. By acclamation from all of you in 2022, that video about the Twitter chase was one of our most successful videos. But yet, your colleagues in a boardroom were expressing concerns about it. Every board member previously communicated their love of that video, but none pushed back in that moment when the staffer criticized it. Why? The attacks were so severe against me personally in that boardroom, and again, this is all video recorded, and I suggest that you ask for that. I will not provide that to you. The attacks were so severe that one board member asked, quote, is there anything James O'Keefe is good at? That's what your board member said. Oh, and by the way, this meeting was video recorded. I'm going to keep saying that. You may want to ask existing board members if they want to share that entire video with you. I suggest you request the entire 7-hour or so video to see for yourself what actually happened. You don't have to have been there. You simply need to watch the video and hear all of the testimony. After the 6 hours, I was asked what I had to say for myself. I was given about 10 seconds to respond, and then I was dismissed. Then, and I'm reading from board minutes drafted by lawyers who are taking a record of what the board members said and did, a vote was called to strip me of all of my authority and decision-making at this organization for half a year. That's 180 days. Again, it's in the board minutes. You'll have a copy of it. It says, quote, the CEO's ability to make these decisions suspended for 180 days with such power transferred to the executive director. The executive director reports to the board. The CEO is placed on leave for 2 weeks, and the CEO's access to donors is restricted. So I can't talk to donors. I can't raise money. Let's see. Okay. My first question before I was dismissed, I asked how the remaining team will manage the company and what the plan was. That's something you had essentially, what's the plan? But they didn't provide one. It was clear they didn't actually have one. And then I was dismissed. So I went off the grid as requested. Went hiking with Kennedy in the mountains. Within a few days of going off the grid, I started receiving missed calls and texts from the same board members and officers who demanded I be gone. They informed the staff that they're waiting to hear from me. I found that odd. There was a corporate resolution demanding that I be gone for 2 weeks. I was a little worried about violating the corporate resolution, wouldn't you? This was while I was commanded by a motion of a board to be literally gone on paid leave for 2 weeks. And then an officer at Project Veritas took a screenshot of my read receipts of text messages and distributed them to you, saying, quote, you owe your team a response, please allow communication. This was during the time when I was required by the board to be gone. Then, it's going to get stranger. Then, and again, I'm going to give you copies of all this. Then, on February 10th, you guys don't know what I'm about to tell you, another board meeting occurred. Again, I'm gone. With the meeting's minutes reflecting that they had indefinitely suspended me from the board. By this time, they had stripped me of all of my authority as CEO. During the time I was on leave, they kicked me off the board. So I can't be a CEO if I have no authority. I can't make any decisions. I'm not allowed to access any donor names. I wasn't even sure what my job was or if I even had a job. Right now, I actually don't. I'm not sure what my job here is. In the board minutes, it says that I no longer have a paycheck and I'm indefinitely suspended from this organization. 5 days later, after that, on February 15th, a statement was put out by this organization, by this organization's executive director, saying, quote, James has not been removed from Project Veritas. 5 days after they removed me from Project Veritas. James is the hardest working person I've ever met. Those who know him know he will not take time off unless forced to. Absent from the statement was the actions of the board to remove me from the board and remove me as CEO. I don't know why they omitted that part. Later on the 15th, the same day, while hiking with Kennedy, Peavy put a statement by quote tweeting a picture of me with him saying, "There is nothing better than enjoying a well-deserved vacation." That tweet failed to mention that by then I had been removed from the board and indefinitely suspended as CEO. Why didn't they put that part in? This is where things get really messed up. A few days later, an officer sent an email to the board with bizarre hyperbole and innuendo about certain expenses related to our business needs. These included, and you can't make this up, that Project Veritas paid for James O'Keefe's down payment of his wedding. I got a chuckle out of this. I'm not married. I've never been married. I do hope to get married one day. In fact, I got married to you in Oklahoma, but that was pretend. That was fun. Everyone enjoyed it. We rented a charter bus. We all went down. Everyone enjoyed that musical, or at least I thought. I'm not married, but the truth of the expense, the $12,000, was that it was a payment for our annual Project Veritas Christmas party. Remember that? Where you guys were there? Some of you brought your spouses. The officer lied by omission, excluding the purpose of paying the $12,000 for the wedding venue. It looked like Project Veritas was reimbursing me for a wedding venue. Why would the officer lie like that? There were also, again, bizarre complaints, and this is where you come in, Asha, about taking too many trips to too many meetings over the course of a year. I think there were like 305 cars I had taken to meetings and donors and journalism assignments, including all the, quote, black cars taken from airports to various meetings. I have a copy of that, so you don't have to take my word for it. The officer stated to the board, this is on February 13th this week, that we should do things such as, quote, reschedule meetings. And the IRS would prefer Zoom meetings over in-person meetings. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. My lawyers got a real laugh out of that one over the last couple of days. And again, I have a copy of these. You can read them for yourselves. The wedding, there's a line item here. It omits the purpose of the expense. It was for a project. You were there. You were dressed in your amazing Christmas clothes. I remember it was beautiful. It was like a Christmas PJ blazer thing you had on.
That was that one.
You were there. It wasn't a wedding. It wasn't a wedding.
Thanks for bringing the outfit.
It was a great outfit. I remember, that was what I remember from that. And we sang "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning," but it wasn't, I didn't get married. It was a Project Veritas Christmas party. Our Christmas party this year cost about twice as much. That one was about $12,000. Okay. And I have the line item here that sent to the board about the black cars. Too many car trips. And by the way, Zoom meetings over in-person meetings is not how you raise money and not how you conduct your journalism. It's hard to get the content over a screen. Ask our journalist if that works to produce a story. In fact, I would maybe ask you guys to ask these guys how you're supposed to do your jobs without taking, quote, black cars around. I don't know how I can do my job here if I can't transport myself around the United States. It actually doesn't make any actual sense, does it? None of this makes any sense. And why is it all happening right now? Those are the questions I have. I don't have answers. You guys are journalists. Maybe you can go find the answers. I don't know. After this series of events, I wrote a letter to the board on February 16th with the proposal. Many of you have not seen this, but this is what I sent to them, which I guess they haven't shared this with you, but I'm going to share it with you now. With a proposal that the board members resign by the end of this past week. We're now past that point, or I'll be forced to walk away. And this is what I wrote. Dear board, and I'm not going to provide the whole thing, but I'll provide the meat and potatoes. Over the last 2 weeks, I've carefully followed the board's directive to take a vacation and avoid contacting donors. Of course, donors called me. My phone was being lit up with thousands of phone calls. One donor even, I posted a video. She was upset about how she was portrayed in the grievances. Remmers was her name. She posted a video saying the grievance was a total lie. My understanding is one of the officers of this organization responded to that by calling the donor a liar. The officer wasn't there. Why would the officer call the woman with the sole authority on the matter who was there? Why would he call her a liar? I don't know the answer to that question. Your actions over the same period to undermine Veritas and its future, including airing confidential employment matters publicly, has broken trust. I cannot in good conscience return to such a mismanaged organization. I have not responded privately or publicly because there is no rational, appropriate response for the emotional circus that has been created by your actions. I expect the board to resign by the end of the week. Project Veritas, including any employees who choose to stay, will go on under my leadership with newly appointed professional board members and officers prepared to exercise their duty of care and duty of loyalty to the organization. That's what a board does. They exercise duty of loyalty and duty of care. What they shouldn't do is try to destroy an organization. That's not what a board member does. I will return to work on Monday, that's today, and work with the remaining team to go forward with our mission. Short of this action, I cannot in good faith return to the employment of an organization with leaders who are attacking me personally, making false and unsupported claims of improper management of resources about weddings and black cars, improperly airing employment issues related to me and others at Project Veritas. I did not leak that document, and I would swear to it under oath. But it probably wasn't the best idea to march employees into a boardroom. That's never happened in any boardroom in the history of boardrooms. And that's one of the reasons why our donors are so upset. That doesn't happen. Ruining our reputation in front of supporters and donors and leaking confidential information and fabricating stories. One of our ethical rules is we don't lie to our audience. I've never lied to our audience in 13 years. But I was stripped of all decision-making last week. And you guys put out a statement lying to your audience. And there's nothing I could do about it because I was stripped of all my decision-making. I was removed from CEO. I was asked to be gone until the 20th. It is now the 20th. I asked the board to resign for their conduct, and they did not. So currently, I have no job at Project Veritas. I have no position here based upon what the board has done. So I'm announcing to you all that today on President's Day, I'm packing up my personal belongings here. I don't really have much in this room that belongs to me. I guess a painting, a diploma, some personal things. It won't fill much. Maybe it'll fill my Kia. I'm packing up my personal, I'm starting to get emotional, from headquarters, and I'm intending to start anew. I don't have the answers to why they've been doing this or why board members were going directly to employees to collect grievances on the week of our biggest story ever. Or why our board members were going to employees directly to discuss removing me from this organization, even saying, I'll give you a raise if James is removed. That might be illegal. I don't know. But why would they do it the week of our biggest story ever? But I'm confident that those reasons and motivations will come to light. To borrow an old expression, the public has a right to know what has happened here and why there was a concerted effort to remove me from the organization I founded the same week of our biggest story ever had. Almost done. This is very difficult. And I'm filming this for the staff. You know, sorry you couldn't be physically here, but this is for internal distribution. My dear team, I do love many of you. I never said it, those words, but I'll say it now. I want to go back to the beginning of what I said and express how important so many of you are to me how I still believe we have a long and bright future together somehow, some way, and to share my profound appreciation for many of you. When I left the office, and this is where I'm going to get emotional, so please forgive me. When I left the office on February 6th, after being stripped of all my authority, I saw my father and gave him a hug, realizing just how honest and real of a man he is. Both my parents are as genuine and down to earth as a son could ever have. It's true, you never really know someone until you go through hell with them. You see, back in the carriage house 13 years ago, the feds would come to my home to make sure that I was inside my house, administering random drug tests and rifling through my expenses to make sure I wasn't lying about the strawberry ice cream I bought at 7-Eleven. And I didn't have any money, but they went through my debit card statements and tried to get me to sign things to prove I wasn't lying. There were federal agents showing up at my parents' house. There were no donors. There were no supporters. And I was not trending on Twitter. My father went through this hell with me and stood up to those bullies on the front lawn and told them to stop harassing our family. And at that point, that's all I had, was him. I was otherwise completely alone. I will never forget that. Now the good news, we're no longer alone. We have millions of Americans who also know who I am. In fact, sorry.
All right, we're all trying, boss.
In fact, you have, and we all have watched their overwhelming support. They see the truth. They know who I am. I also know many of you know who I am, and you know what's right, right? You know, you're people of principle here, people in this room, and this now may be your moment of truth. One of you called me from a closet the day of the 7th after I was suspended, the day after I was let go, and you were crying. I never heard that tone before. I told you it was going to be okay. You were afraid of what was happening here. You said, this is really hard to take. I can't take this anymore. I told you that I struggled alongside you, although I wasn't physically there. I told you that I loved you. A number of us told each other that we loved one another. It was the first time I've shared that sentiment with a colleague. It was a very real moment, a very beautiful moment, a touching moment where we were bound together. Many of us were really bound together in that moment, and I was grateful for that. I recognize just how honest and real many of you are in your souls, that you are amazing people. We have some really amazing people here, with men with brass balls and women with the courage of a lion. And it really, what I drew from this experience is the gratitude that I have, for so many of you. And as I was going through this horrible pain where I lost 8 pounds and couldn't sleep for 5 days, I was actually overcome with this amazing gratitude. True story. I was really feeling it, and I'm grateful for that, because I've experienced something I never have, because I saw the goodness in many of you that I did not previously see. So I amend the statement that I made in the beginning of this. The statement I made before was Veritas will never be defeated from the outside. It'll only be defeated from the inside. That's actually not true. No, the only way to defeat us is if they take our spirit. And from the looks of things, many of us remain completely undefeated and unbroken. So our mission continues on. I'm not done. The mission will perhaps take on a new name, and it may be no longer called Veritas, Project Veritas. I'll need a bunch of people around me, and I'll make sure you know how to find me. And I'll quote when you invited me to New York City and did that little stand-up, how fitting that from Shakespeare, quote, "And this story shall the good man teach his son." We few, we happy few, we band of brothers and sisters. So with that, I'm going to collect my things. I'm going to load them into my car. And I hope to see some of you soon. That's it.
Wow.
Oh,
Just tugged at my heartstrings. I mean, here's my thoughts. I would recommend each and every one of you go and unsubscribe to Project Veritas. I'm going to on every platform that I have them on, which is a lot, because I don't trust them anymore. His words reminds me of exactly what's going on in our government.
mm,
I would stop donations. You know,
He-
just like
he is Project Veritas.
that's right. Without him, there is no Project Veritas in my eyes.
I bet a lot of people follow him. You watch.
Oh yeah.
They'll get out of there. Could you imagine I'm going to call it kahunas of this board who said to him, they don't need to know that you've been fired? What? What?
I'm just in shock.
I,
I know.
this all goes down to what went down was at the end of January, 1st of February,
Mhm.
with that the PF company. That's what this is all about, the PF.
You mean the PF
100%.
that was wanting everybody to put those things in their arms?
Yes. The PF
Mhm.
that the guy took James O'Keefe's, was it his tablet or whatever he had, and
Oh, yeah.
smashed it? That person, that company that person worked for. Yes. This just goes to show you the influence, the money, well, the combination. The money influences people. And they've even gotten to the board.
Yep. Well, you know, Diamond, there's been plenty of other companies out there that went woke and they went broke, right? As we
Well,
can see, Disney.
Yeah, Project Veritas is on its way.
Well,
too.
yes, it is. And that's what
They
I'm
are
going
nothing without him.
right. That's what I'm going to promote for. Let's
Yep.
I'm team O'Keefe. So wherever he goes, I will be following. So I've never seen the man steer us wrong yet. That's my opinion.
Quantum Strange Quark says, I just got suspended from Twitter for saying to unfollow, undonate, and write them an email.
Oh my goodness.
WTF.
Mm.
Anyone with half a brain, well, actually, no, I'm not going to say it that way. I'm going to say that even if you don't follow what's been going on, you can put 2 and 2 together and come up with the number 4 on this whole situation. We know who's behind this whole situation.
Oh, 1000%. But you know, it's just to treat someone like that is what bothers me the most.
Oh, absolutely.
And if they can do that to James O'Keefe, what
Right.
are they going to do to us?
Right. What was it he said too? The IRS said they would prefer that instead of doing in-person meetings, they did Zoom meetings.
Because they
Now
wanted
let's give that a thought for a minute. Now I'm not the most technological person, okay? But even I can figure out why they would prefer it to be on electronically instead of in person. You know,
Is it the red record button?
it could be the same thing where my daughter and I, we just said we were talking about something, and my daughter goes back to her computer, and there's an ad for what we were talking about on her computer.
Yeah.
So don't tell me they don't listen to us. It's weird.
Now, didn't Google just come out with some kind of AI bot that you can talk to?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I think I read something about it.
Yeah. I got a little emotional at the end because I could feel him. Well, I did from the very beginning, but I could feel him at the end. He says, well, how are we going to tell the people, that I've been removed? And they say, well, they don't have to know.
That's what they wanted, is for us not to know.
We think about these people in these positions being so smart and all this stuff. We're smarter than they are.
Right.
Give me a break. Oh, Engine 10 says they had another 6.4 earthquake today in Turkey.
Yep, I was just going to bring that up. I pulled up the Gateway Pundit, and I seen that earlier too. And it was in a residential area too, so there's going to be a lot more deaths there.
Oh, I know there's people over there doing relief work, so I'm hoping that, the relief workers are okay, because they're right near the rubble and everything. Although I think they've kind of ruled out finding people alive at this point, right?
Are you from the first earthquake, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, Diamond. It just makes me so. This whole thing is just so sad.
I just, I don't know. Yeah, Mixed Creations. That's their problem. They still think most of us are asleep. Oh, they'll never know. We just don't see James O'Keefe anymore with Project Veritas. Oh, the people won't know. They won't ask questions.
He said how many times during his speech that this was just for his people at Project Veritas. How did it get leaked to Gateway Pundit that quick?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, has this hit mainstream media at all?
I don't know. I haven't had the TV on. I got off work. I was listening to it, and as soon as I got off work, I set up the live and played it.
Yeah. No, that was great, Nikki. Thank you. I really enjoyed listening to him, because you hear it from him, and he's got facts. He's got minutes of a meeting, and he's got emails, and he's got everything. You imagine being on an aircraft and the door's ready to shut, and you know that where you're going, you're about to be fired.
What a horrible trip that must have been, huh?
I'm telling you.
Oh boy,
I bet you'll have a lot of those people will follow him if he opens up another.
I don't think we've seen the last of Mr. James O'Keefe yet.
Yeah, I don't either. I agree. EOT 100%. Hear it from the horse's mouth. Exactly. And that's why I was thinking, you're listening to it from his mouth.
That's right. There's no misunderstandings there.
No filters. No nothing. He's cleaning his desk today. I don't know.
You know, when he talked about the fib, I mean, they've been doing this to him for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they wanted to shut him up. They wanted to quiet him. They wanted to intimidate him so much that he'd give up what he was doing. And this is what they do. They use the intimidation tactic, you know?
Yeah.
It's wrong. That's not what that agency was set up to do. It's wrong.
Well, it just makes me think, what are they going to do to us?
Well, what have they been doing to us too?
Oh, 100%.
You know? Yeah.
I'm going to go through all my
That was
social media
great.
sites and get rid of Project Veritas.
Yeah. That was great though of you finding that and playing that. I really I didn't enjoy the fact that he's been let go, but I liked hearing it from him. He's a very good speaker.
Yes,
I
he
thought.
is.
Very, I mean, the emotions were real. He was not faking anything. Yes, brought to you by the PF company. Exactly.
1000%. Okay, well, let's talk about this. Let's shift gears a little bit here, Diamond.
Right. Yep.
So Moron went over to Ukraine to
Yes.
give them some more money?
Yes. Yes. And he
Okay.
was counting out his portion. You know, he had it in a briefcase and he was counting out how much he and his family takes, and then he handed it off so that Zelensky could disperse it to BO and the rest of them that get the rest of the money. Now don't go off and tell everybody that I said that he went over with a suitcase full of money. I'm joking. That's a joke. Okay. I'm joking, but I'm not joking in the sense that he probably gets a cut of whatever he's sending over there and has been for quite a while.
Well, you know, there's the biggest laundromat over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's my problem. Here's the problem I have. You know, I work like we all do. Us Americans are hardworking people. We pay our taxes. We do what we're supposed to do. That is our money,
Yep.
not Ukraine's money. It's our
Yes.
money.
And
And I'm getting really sick and tired of busting my hump every week. Then they're sending our money over there
yes.
to
Yep.
go to the laundromat.
You've got a couple people here. Jordan B. went to Ukraine to give 500 million while East Palestine, Ohio was suffering. And then Mike Q says 500 million for Ukraine, 0 for East Palestine, Ohio.
I agree with that, but I can also piggyback on that and say, what about the homeless out there? What about our veterans that are on the street and the freezing
Yes.
cold? You know,
Yes.
I'm tired of it. I'm
Yes.
done.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know what we need to do at this point, but I think it's time people to stand up and do what you can do. And I'm not calling for violence. I would never call for violence.
No.
But I think it's time our voices are heard.
You can protest without violence. Yeah.
Protest. Unsubscribe definitely to
Yes. That says
Project
volumes. Yeah.
Veritas.
Yep. Engine 10 says, I wonder how many suitcases came back on the plane with him. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Can you spell? Jersey Joe says LOL. LAUNDRYMAT. Yes.
100%, Jersey Joe. I'm just tired of it. Something needs to change.
Yep. So
Anyways,
it's it seems like the world has turned upside down.
Oh, I spent upside down diamond.
Yeah, but
2.5 years.
God's going to turn it right side up. He is.
Did you happen to see Biden's speech today?
I can't stomach him. No, I got to say I haven't seen it.
Would you guys like to see it? His speech in Ukraine?
How long is it?
I got to pull it up, but the title says he shot. Joe Biden struggles through his speech in Ukraine.
Yeah, he can't even pronounce Ukraine. Annie S. is asking, do you have the link to the O'Keefe video?
You guys go to the Gateway Pundit. I just seen it on here.
Oh, Gateway Pundit. Thank you. Yeah, just type in
James
the
O'Keefe.
Gateway Pundit and you can pull it right up.
Yeah. There's quite a few articles about James O'Keefe in the Gateway Pundit today. Do you guys want to watch this video of moron in Ukraine?
All right.
I hear you, outlandish. I'm tired. I'm tired of it. You know, we bust our butts and we get nowhere. It's like we're treading water at this point. You know, groceries are going through the roof, and prices of cars and just everything. But our paychecks aren't going up. But this moron's going over to Ukraine, giving them money so they can pay their politicians. Our money. What?
Annette Graff is saying there are rumors that Pooh Tan is rescuing the children.
Who is?
Pooh Tan.
Oh, Pooh Tan.
Yeah.
The
Mountain
Tan.
Man says Nikki B at 4:33.
He says, I unfollowed them on Truth with one word, goodbye. Good job, Mountain Man. You want to come up, Mountain Man? Want to join us?
A lot of people were saying they couldn't wait to watch Mountain Man tonight because it'll probably be a great show. Not that his shows aren't great anyway, but
I was going to say they're always great.
Yeah, but this will be really another good one. Yeah.
All right, let me drop the link for you, Mountain Man. Give me 1 second. Lizard Tracy, can you guys drop Mountain Man's link and Diamond's link for me?
Aren't you sweet?
Well, of course. All right, here you go. This is for Mountain Man only. If I can get it. Oh, boy.
Engine 10 said they used a $400,000 missile to shoot down a $300 balloon. Kids better be careful with their kites this spring.
All right, hopefully that. There you go, Mountain Man.
What time does he go on, Nikki, at night? Annie S. is asking.
He usually goes on between 9:10 and 9:20. And he goes on for an hour. So he's pretty good with keeping it to an hour, and he packs a lot in that powerful hour.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, B-Dog.
Outlandish Patriot says maybe if East Palestine flies the Ukraine flag, they might get some support.
Right? Hi, Mountain Man. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. How are you all?
Good.
Hi, Mountain Man.
I tell you, I went on True Social and Project Veritas. They hadn't posted in 4 days. They hadn't posted anything in 4 days. So I guess that was during the time when O'Keefe told them, you all need to resign. And, I made sure I went through a couple or three posts. I went down and just wrote in capital letters, goodbye, with a period at the end. I didn't put that in the thing. It's got 3 posts for me on their last post. The 3 last posts has got goodbye in there, goodbye. And they see that enough.
Yay.
So they got to have somebody monitoring their Truth Social site, right? So if they get
Yeah.
500 goodbyes in 10 minutes, their eyeballs going to open up a little bit. What do you think?
I think for sure.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Hey, Cupcake Girl just came in and said, "Hello, everyone. Did you all see the explosion in Chicago Heights? Horrible. What's that all about, Cupcake Girl? I didn't see it."
No, I hadn't seen it. I've been watching this program.
Oh, you've been watching me?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mountain Man. I appreciate you watching me.
Well, sure.
They're saying a metal plant in Ohio is on fire too.
Oh my gosh.
Well, sabotage is real. That's a real concern.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I was talking on the last broadcast, I think, or maybe the one before. I had a book. Looked like it was from I can't remember, 50s, or maybe it might have been World War II era. And it was not a fictional book. It was called Sabotage. And it was discussing security in factories and things like that. And it had a letter in there from a guy who gave it to his plant manager, typed on one of those old IBM typewriters, saying, "I really think you should take a look at this for security at our facility." And the letter is still in the book. So I thought that was a pretty cool piece of history. But when you start thinking about it, they have operatives in this country. They always have. And all they got to do is get the message, right? You start going around doing pre-planned stuff. Did my battery die on my phone?
No, you're good. Sorry.
Okay.
I muted for a second because John Dunning sent something and I was going to go check it out. But it says, Mike Gill, The Lives of Others, Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, and Patrick Berge from 4 days ago. And he says it's important.
I'll be right back.
But
Okay.
yeah, people sit there and they get, I've worked at factories back in the day, there are a lot of things being automated. And if you get the drawings on how things work, or you find out where the gas lines are, you could cause a lot of problems.
What are your thoughts, Mountain Man? Are we in big trouble here? Or?
We've been in big trouble.
Yeah, but it seems to be even bigger.
Yeah. Well, I saw a post on Telegram last night about 2 a.m. that said something, message had been put out or something, and they said, "Does this mean Biden is making a surprise trip to Kiev?" And sure enough, by 5 o'clock, he was there. So that was bizarre. I mean, you couldn't do anything more on purpose to make the American people mad. Do you think that's what they're trying to do, is purposefully wake the people up with that kind of arrogance?
Well, you seen how fired up I just got.
Yeah.
I'm mad. It should make everybody mad.
Well, I tell you, one thing O'Keefe said at the end, "We the happy few." Sometimes you feel that way. You're doing broadcasts, you got 700, 800 people, and you're talking about children psychologically, being harmed and in the schools, and your everyday life, you run into people at stores, things, and this is the farthest thing from their mind. And you think, are we the few, that it has got our antennas up? The warriors is what he was referring to, the people carrying on with the good fight. And it seems to be very few. I hate to sound negative. Doesn't anybody see what's going on?
I see it.
I know we do. Are we the happy few that O'Keefe was referring to? Because the people on the board are definitely responding in a way to protect some evil entity or to get money for whatever reason, and they're damaging a very valuable and good resource the American people have. And
Mountain Man, talk to the people. I'll be right back. Sorry.
okay, okay, folks. What do you all think? What's O'Keefe? Did he sound like he's totally given up, or I'm sure that they can expect legal action from James O'Keefe. I don't think he's going to let them off this early. Easy. What do you all think? Diamond, what do you think? You think he's going to let him off easy? Am I by myself? Well, I had to see the chats keep me company. I don't think he's going to let him off easy. And I think his attorney advised him to give him that notice to have them resign. And y'all stick with me because I'm putting my charger in my phone. And as some of you watch my show know, I have a busted foot. And I've been dealing with that. It's not easy to heal. And I've been hobbling around.
Thank you, Mountain Man. Sorry, my daughter called.
All right, folks. All right, let me see. I had to put my phone on charge. And I was asking the people if they thought that O'Keefe was going to, let me see. I'm looking for the chats. Chat with everyone in the studio. Where are my chats?
I think O'Keefe's going to start his something else. He's not. We haven't seen the last of him yet.
Well, he's got a pretty big structure he built.
That's right. And just like Julie says, that was his company. Donors give because of him,
That's
not
right.
because of Project Veritas. It's because of him.
Well, I looked at Truth Social. They say he has 1 million followers. Or Project Veritas has 1 million followers.
They won't after this.
Yeah.
That's how we can stand up and have our voices heard. I know it sounds silly, but just by unfollowing them speaks volumes.
Oh, yeah. There we go. I got my chats on now. Ingrid said something big is coming.
Yeah.
So, what if this is a psyop to get their own deeper undercover?
Ooh.
Oh, that's some good thinking, Debbie. Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, play footsie with him. Like I said, if you want to trip up the devil, sometime you got to dance with him.
That's right.
You got to get a plant in there.
Greta, I just played the whole video.
Yeah.
She's talking about Tim Pool played it.
Oh, yeah, this is going to get Project Veritas more exposure than anything. And it's going to get people to go, what's the video he's talking about? A guy broke his equipment up. It had 50 million views, but there's 360 million people in this country. So I know a lot of them are kids and stuff, but, it needs to get about another 50 million views, about 100 million. Right, Wanda, plants need watering.
Yeah, it'll pique people's interest to go see what they're talking about.
Yep. I didn't realize he got that many views on that video.
Oh, yeah.
Although that was quite a, I don't want to say shocking, but eye-opening. Is that guy still employed by the PF company?
Oh, I would bet. I would bet they don't fire. They don't fire LGBT people of color for anything.
Ah, okay.
Oh, Cheshire's Insight says Project lost 2,000 followers in less than 3 hours on Twitter. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't follow them on Twitter. Otherwise, I'd have gone off there too.
I don't know if I follow them on Twitter, but if I do, I'll definitely. I know I do on social though. Truth. Did you guys hear that? McCarthy turned over 14,000 hours.
Yep.
To
Was it Tucker? Tucker Carlson?
Tucker Carlson from the J6. He better do something with it.
I was going to say, hopefully he's not going to sit on it.
He better not. We all know.
Yeah, we know what's on those tapes.
I watched it live for days. You know, the 2 days they were out there, I watched it all. Even longer than that.
Yeah.
I seen what was going on out there. Oh, 44,000 hours to Tucker? Oh, even more than I thought.
Wow.
Thanks, Adam.
I thought it was 16,000 hours, but I saw that too. It's 44,000 hours. And I put up, remember that little clip? Those of you out there who watched my program in the past may have seen it, where this girl's on the couch and she says, oh yeah, that guy that shows one of the Capitol Police testifying, I was beaten, I was kicked, I was spit on, blah blah blah. She said she goes on to say he was not in uniform. He was carrying a Confederate flag. He was part of it, and he was in on it. And she showed pictures of him, and the clip's only about 20 seconds long, maybe 25 seconds. I don't remember. But anyway, I found I could put those little clips on my Truth Social site, and people can click on them and they'll play. So when I found out that Tucker got to 44,000 hours, I went ahead and put that little clip up on Truth Social. And I'll be doing that with more clips too.
There you go.
And you can share them, you can forward them. You know, what did I send you a video of? I forgot, Nikki. I told you no one could erase it.
Oh, it was a conversation, remember?
Oh, yeah. Well, if I send you any, not stuff like that, but if you get any clips, I'll tell you all how you can share them. Say you got a piece of a video you like. If you do the scissor deal on YouTube and share a little sliver of it, if YouTube ever takes that video down, so will go that sliver. But if you have your phone and you have what's called an app called X Recorder, you can do, I don't know how long. I've done 5-10 minute clips before, but I usually do a 30 seconds or 2 minute clip that I'll play in my videos. But it will store them in your photos. The shorter, it'll store them in your photos.
It's called a screen recording.
Yeah, and you can when you, oh my gosh, am I still with you?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a notification about something. I touched it. It took me to some screen. But anyway, you can click on that photo and it'll post that little video on Truth Social.
Yeah, I do screen recordings all the time on videos, little pieces, and send them out. Because my phone, on an iPhone, you can screen record the video. You just stop it where you want it. It gives you a 3-second time to go back to the video and start it again. And then you just stop the screen recording when you're done.
Yeah. Can you edit?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So it's built in your phone.
Yep.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't have that, it's called X Recorder app. X Recorder. It'll download download whatever you want. You can edit it and turn up the volume and whatever you want to do with it, and share it. in the text message. Shorter it is.
Cheshire Insight says O'Keefe was pictured with Robert Kennedy over the weekend. He spoke of that.
I wanted to ask you guys that. Yes, he said he's gone on, I think it was a hike or something,
Yeah.
a walk with
A hike.
he spoke about it twice. What do you make of that? Because Robert Kennedy Jr. is a big
Anti-vaxxer.
activist. Yes, he's a big so maybe something coming out with the two of them, do you think?
Well, I wouldn't doubt it. Somebody like James O'Keefe is too big of an asset for some creepy little board to kick to the curb. He's in this battle. I wouldn't doubt if he was what I've talked about before, a DAO, just like I think Mike Lindell is, just like I think Rudy Giuliani is. It gives them the ability to see certain classified things. It gives them the ability to discuss certain things. A DAO is a directly appointed officer, and I think he's way too big of an asset for him to get kicked out of the picture. And I agree with what was said earlier in the chats that may be getting them to get their guard down and think they got rid of James O'Keefe and he might have an operative in there that's going to get a lot of information. But Kennedy now, he's been anti, VAX for 30, 40 years. And he came out with that tweet where he said, this has been a battle ever since they KILL'd my uncle. And so, I think it's big that they're getting together. And what bigger story would you, now let's look at it this way. What if the biggest Project Veritas story ever was going to break? And would you want these creeps, which I feel they're creeps because of the way they treated O'Keefe, having any part of it or having any opportunity to mess it up? So what if James O'Keefe comes back on the stage with a big splash about some inside scoop on JFK assassination?
Ooh, doggy.
Oh, yeah.
And the Project Veritas would just die on the vine.
Yeah. Well,
That
look
would
at
be
the
amazing.
the audacity of the board members saying when he asked, well, how are you going to tell, the employees and the, the people that I've been let go? And they're like, well, they don't need to know. What? What?
Audacity, like Obama wrote that book, The Audacity of being audacity. Having audacity is not a good trait. And, Obama's wearing it like a badge on his sleeve, the audacity. But I don't know. I know that was what I just said was speculation. I always discourage speculation. But when you put the situation of O'Keefe and Kennedy together right during this upheaval that makes absolutely no sense. He's not going. He's already said, "I'm not going away. I'm coming back." So he's too big of an asset for the Patriots to lose. I'm sure he's still in the game and he'll have backing.
And just the way he spoke too today, he spoke from the heart, and you could tell that it was not contrived or phony. It was him. And that's what I liked about it.
Yeah. Talked about his dad.
Oh,
Being an outstanding man.
What he's talked about the feds and how, what he's saying is he's pointing out that is a criminal, the federal government, many aspects of it, many of the people involved with the federal government right now is a criminal organization. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a criminal government. criminals that have taken over our government. I saw Tracy Q said that Twitter's dropping like a rock,
Yep.
and
So is Truth.
Nicholas said her first one we heard was 2,000, and Nicholas says Project Veritas lost over 80,000. 80,000
On Twitter.
on Twitter. And Outlandish Patriot said before that, over an hour ago, they had lost 20. So now Nicholas is saying 80. So yeah, Tracy's. Oh, Tracy Q says, since I unfollowed PV after that video, their followers are going down 300,000.
Good.
Okay.
I hope they go down to nothing. That's what I
Yeah.
hope for.
Yep.
And I hope a lot of the people that worked there, that were in that office when he was speaking, I hope they follow him too, to wherever he's going.
Oh, he's got some friends there that'll follow him.
Yeah,
100%.
he's got the one that called him from inside a closet.
Yep.
Yeah,
He's got the one that took a screenshot of where they said, if you stick with us, we'll give you more money when we get rid of James O'Keefe. He took a screenshot
Yes.
because they deleted that tweet. And like O'Keefe said, it could be illegal if they offered that, a board member offering that to an employee to get rid of somebody.
B-Dog just said that James's numbers on Twitter have skyrocketed. Are you going to read it, Diamond?
Oh,
I'm gonna see if he's on Truth Social too. I'll sign up Truth Social. I'll sign up to him on Twitter. I'll sign up to him on Telegram, wherever I can do it.
B-Dog says MPC has 2 number counters going in different directions. What?
On what? The subscribers, B-Dog?
I think that's what he's talking about.
Oh, that would be one of the number counters is probably James O'Keefe, and the other one is Project Veritas.
Right.
O'Keefe going up, Veritas going down.
He must not be on the channel I follow because I don't see him live right now. He's got so many channels, though. Frank does.
Seen the online version of the Titanic.
It's going. Now, I'll sing my song for you guys. Want me to?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Project Veritas is going down. I'm calling timber.
B-Dog says O'Keefe versus Veritas.
I'm Team O'Keefe. I'll make t-shirts for everybody.
Well, good. We'll get to watch them crash.
Yep. I just went over.
They'll be begging him. They'll be begging him. At this rate, at this rate, it's got to be obvious. They don't do something in the next 24 hours. That organization is going to be sucking wind.
They're done. Yep, they're done. Yep.
They're acting on donors, and you know what? This infiltration thing and plants go 2 ways. They could have Soros money coming in, tempting them to get rid of O'Keefe.
Oh, Frank is going crazy with his arms over here in the MPC show. James O'Keefe's numbers going up, next going down.
Hey, Nikki, Mike Mazza saying Santa Surfing has said AF and Deborah arrested. Still waiting for it to be proven.
AF.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who AF is.
AF.
And Deborah. I don't know.
Al Franken.
Yeah, well, that would be.
What'd you say, Mountain Man?
Al Franken.
Al Franken. Yeah. AF.
Hey, ACGO. Good to see you.
One, I'll probably come on about 9 o'clock.
He says Dr. Death. Dr. Death.
Oh,
Okay.
Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Anthony. Yeah. And who? Deborah, is that his wife?
No, Burks. Dr. Burks.
Oh,
is that her name? Deborah Burks.
Scarf Lady.
Scarf Lady, yeah.
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 Mingala Gnome. Wanda, I said about 9 o'clock, I think. Oh, Wanda, you put the whole name in there. Wow. Hey,
Yeah, it got removed.
okay.
Sorry, Wanda. Somebody got you though.
Thank you, Tracy Q. Cutie. That's what it stands for, right? Q. Cutie.
Q. Cutie. Yeah, she's a cutie. She's a lovely lady.
Honey.
Did you say you're going on at 9, Mountain Man?
About 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Things are happening so fast. You try to put it together in your mind or write a little note down, and then boom, something else pops out. You're like, holy cow! You'll be talking about something else, and then something else happened.
I know. It's crazy.
Like it's two
not like a
o'clock
fire
in the
hose.
morning. 2 o'clock in the morning. Biden going to Kiev, and I tell you, they did they did an air raid. Putin that now they just closed it later on. Putin and had communication with the U.S. about Biden's visit. Okay, prior to him going, and so I guess they said, okay, yeah, he can go. We won't do nothing. But when he got on the ground, they did something to trigger fire alarms, and you can hear the sirens going off while him and Zelensky are hugging and walking around. You hear the
like air raids.
The air raid sirens going on.
That's
so
awesome.
Putin was messing with them.
I guess there was Tracy Q had sent me something, if I can go back far enough. There was signs put out when he landed. Hang on. Billboards read, Russia's border doesn't end anywhere. They say Putin and his closet circle are on the way to, is it Kirlin? To prepare for the new address. So he's supposed to speak tomorrow, right? Putin?
Well, he spoke, I think he's supposed to give a formal speech, but he spoke yesterday. And I guess their time, it would be like maybe a little bit more like day before yesterday, but where he repeated the Satan line, we're dealing with Satanists.
Oh yeah.
So
did you guys hear about
not
Kamala and her Air Force Two breaking down, and she had to come back on a cargo jet?
Yeah.
Was that the other day, Nikki?
I just think it's so funny, and I could see her just sitting there with her cackling little laugh. Ugh. I hope it was a bumpy ride.
Well, I'll never forget when they were having those updates and Trump was still president. And you had the scarf lady and Ouchie there, and they brought up the Harvard endowment, how much Harvard's got in the bank, $40 billion. And Trump said, we're going to be looking at that very strongly. And he also discussed the grant money that was given to the Wu, in the other words, Han lab. He said, we're going to be looking at that very strongly too. And about 2 minutes after he made those statements, and I think Millie was there too, Scarf Lady gave up to do a presentation. And I mean, she was shaking. She was like, her speech was shaky. Her hands were shaking. She looked terrified, but she was trying to give her presentation, so there was some backroom talk about that stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if something did happen to Ouchie and Burks. But then we've been given, false alarms before. But it wouldn't surprise me if they'd been arrested.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Nikki, Tennessee Ridge Runner says at 5:04, Nikki B, Mr. T is going to Ohio to look at the train devastation on Wednesday, right? Well, Jimmy Carter is in hospice wouldn't it take away from T if Carter happened to pass on that day?
Oh, I'm sure he will.
He could be in the walk-in freezer for the last week, for all we know.
Oh,
This
that's
is-
true, Mountain Man. He could have already passed. We don't know that, right?
Right?
Yep.
Like what's her name? Supreme Court
Elizabeth?
justice.
Queen?
Oh,
No,
Gator,
well, that too,
Ruth,
but
Ruth Bader
yeah.
Ginsburg.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
They said she was gone before it was even announced. She'd been gone for a while, right?
That's the word on the street now. The official
Yeah.
word is that. But I tell you, the timing of them, I think they were forced to admit she was finished. They pushed it as far as they could.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think the military said, listen, that's enough. Now somebody's going to be in big trouble if we don't find out the truth. Oh,
Jamie-
okay.
Jamie Berbersky saying she heard he died today. I haven't heard that.
Well,
You guys-
hospice, could be 12 hours up to who knows when,
Shoot, my grandma was on hospice for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I had a friend, she wouldn't take morphine all through her illness. She had bone cancer
Ooh.
she said, finally said, I'll go ahead and I'll get some morphine. So hospice came in and it was 6 hours. And, she was a nurse though. So, that tells you a little something right there. Don't take the morphine until you're ready, not when they want you to.
Yeah. My brother was less than 24 hours when they took him off, took the tube out,
You know,
the ventilator. He was, they gave him morphine and, what is it, Nikki? Ativan or Adderall or, yeah. It's some,
Ativan is to help you relax.
all right, it's to make you so that you're not anxious, whatever
Yeah,
that A1
my
is.
mom took that.
Yeah, they gave him that and the morphine, and he was
Mhm.
gone within it was before 24 hours. It was very quick.
Linda says she heard that he corked off too, but she doesn't know. who said it.
I just looked and I don't see anywhere where they have announced it. So
I think Diamond's right. They're going to announce it when it messes Trump up the most.
They want to distract. Yes, that's going to be a distraction from whatever they want to distract from, and that would be like Mr. T's visit, maybe.
100%. Let's just pray we don't have another train derailment. Who knows what's going to happen between now and tomorrow? Oh, Mountain Man kicked himself. Are you still there, Diamond?
Oh yeah, I was muted. I
Okay.
said, oh, we lost him.
There he goes. He probably hit the wrong button. I don't know how he does that on his phone.
Well, he's got a show tonight. There he is. No, he's not back. Okay. I was on the other screen. Mountain Man has his show tonight a little after 9, did you say, Nikki, or is he going on at 9?
I asked you guys look for him between 9 and 9:20. Here he comes. Right, Mountain Man? Look for you about between 9 and 9:20
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah, I dropped off
Yeah.
shortly. I'm sorry, but
It's
I got
okay.
found my way back in.
You did.
I
Was it
was
dark
getting
back there?
messages. Huh?
I said, was it dark back there?
No, no, I keep getting notifications. I've been getting notifications of about when I posted on True Social. I unfollowed Veritas. I got a couple of notifications already. Me too. Yeah, I did too. Or a
good.
heart. So that's why I say go to their last 3 posts, Project Veritas, before you unfollow, and leave a message in all 3 of them in capital letters, goodbye, with a period on the end of it. And then if you do that, unfollow them and then put on your post I just unfollowed Project Veritas, and I put in there, I misspelled it, the FIS word, and I said they're puppets.
Yep. Jamie
Or-
Berbersky's saying that Mr. T is going to be on RSBN tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Were you
Great
just going to
minds
read that
think. I
too?
was just gonna tell you.
We do that all the time, Mountain Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's going to be on what time?
6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on RSBN.
Oh, see, I got to see what he's saying in that too before I
Oh,
go
yeah.
live.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about, you know.
Mike
So much to
Mazza
talk
says
about.
Mike Mazza says there was a pipe bomb in Pennsylvania near Philadelphia.
Oh my God.
Was that the one behind the church and the railroad tracks?
That's a great.
Because Trump talked about that.
Oh,
Trump talked about that too. I think he did. 18-inch pipe bomb was stuffed under the railroad tracks right behind a church. They discovered it
Today?
goodness.
yesterday.
Yesterday?
Oh my goodness.
Gosh.
I put up a short video on Truth Social that I reposted from Frank that shows the train coming and a tractor trailer parked across the railroad tracks and the engine hitting the tractor trailer and then the car's derailing.
Where was that at?
Ohio.
Oh, well, I seen a video in Ohio of the train's wheels or whatever you call them sparking long before it derailed. Like,
Well, this shows it hit the tractor trailer that was across the tracks. Go on my True Social, you'll see it. It's about four videos down, and I also reposted where the airplane is letting its chemtrail go off on the runway by accident.
Linda Kirksey, I'm sorry. I think one of the mods accidentally timed you out. I'm so sorry, Linda.
Oh,
Oh,
you're back now, Linda.
no, she's not. It just
Oh,
happened.
well, you'll be back in a little bit. If it, what is it, 5 minutes?
It's a long time.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because when I do that, it's 5. It says timeout for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't done on purpose, Linda. We love you.
Yeah, come back, Linda. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
All right, everyone. Well, I'm going to go make some dinner
Okay.
since I jumped right on right after work. So I wanted to get it out for everybody, though.
Boy,
That
you know
was
how
a
many
good.
days?
That was a good video.
You know how many days we're going to have to listen to Carter stuff about Carter?
I
Wow.
know.
I know.
What's
But
that
if they
saying?
tell the truth,
What's
they
that
tell
saying
the truth.
my mom used to always say? Something with Carter's is dumb. Something with liver pills or something. I don't remember. I was young. Something with liver pills. I don't know.
It would say something about you. Something about Carter's got pills. You've got
That's what-
something more. Go ahead, Mountain Man.
that's what they used to call them back in the 1900s. Carter's. You would always say, you know, somebody's got more chickens than Carter's got liver pills.
There you
Yes,
go.
yes,
Yeah,
that's it.
He's got more peanuts than Carter's got liver pills. Because Carter's liver pills used to be a thing
Yeah.
back in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Well, and how long did we have to go and suffer through the? And this is before I woke up.
McStain.
Daddy Bush's funeral
Oh.
about how such a great guy he was, and you
Right,
know all of
we're-
that. Ah,
Yep. And then McStain. McStain had 5 funerals.
oh yeah, that's right.
Have a good night, Stacy. I'll see you later.
That's right. Yeah, how wonderful they were.
And that Dan Scavino was putting up dog comms, and sure enough,
Yep.
he put up dog comms right before McStain went.
B-Dog says Jimmy will not go down as the worst president. No, he will not.
No, he's got some competition there.
Oh.
He was pretty damn bad, though.
He was, but I think morons got him beat. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And thank you, everyone who came in to chat. I appreciate each and every one of you. And hopefully I'll see you guys all later at Mountain Man's tonight between 9 and 9:20 and Diamond Lil's in the morning between 10 and 10:20. That's Eastern Standard Time for both. And have a good night.
Yeah, I
Thank you, Nikki.
appreciate y'all. Thank you.
And me. Thanks, Mountain Man.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Mountain Man. Thank you.
Bye, Diamond. See you.
See you later.